Had the police. I'm not going to obviously get into it too much because this is a very ongoing ordeal. But I had the police come and raid my house the other day.
This year was punctuated by the host of the show, our very own Tony, being raided by police.
They showed up Wednesday initially, and there was a complaint about shooting. I guess a noise complaint about shooting, which is nonsense. We don't have a noise ordinance out here. That someone had called complaining that there was shooting going on. It was loud. I immediately went into sovereign citizen mode. I was like, well, this is, there's no noise ordinance here. There's no noise ordinance here, is there? He's like, no. He's like, your bullets could hit a ricochet and hit a house, though. I was like, but they didn't. And he's like, no, they didn't. And I was like, okay, well, so there's not a crime. So what are you guys doing here? They're like, well, we're just wanting to make sure everything's safe. And I was like, well, is there anybody saying that it's unsafe? No. I just kept like, I don't know why you're here. What are we doing here? There's no crime, right? They're like, well, they could hit whatever. And I'm like, shooting in a safe direction. I know, I've lived out here my whole life. I know where all the houses are. I know how to shoot in a safe direction. No one's saying that I'm being unsafe. Why are you here? And kept asking about like what kind of guns I had. And he's asking if I was shooting. And I said, I didn't answer. I was like, people shoot out here sometimes. Asked what kind of guns I had. And I was like, there's guns over here sometimes. Incidentally, yeah, and I've had my felony expunged, so I'm a legal gun owner right now. Yeah, a lot of people were shooting. There are some new people that have been moving in, and so this is a crazy thing. So he mentions to me, he was like, I was like, I don't know. There's some new people that built real big, nice houses on this road. He's like, yeah, we got a lot of new people coming in, and there's a lot of businesses coming into Brandenburg. We don't want any assholes around here. This is what he says. There's a lot of businesses coming in. I'm just wanting to make sure there's no assholes around here. I was like, buddy, I'm not the asshole. I'm the guy that goes and helps I help all my neighbors. I'm really polite. I'm not shooting at night. It's like during the daytime in reasonable hours. What do you do? But that businesses thing, they did this back in the 90s, incidentally. So you don't remember this. You weren't around. And I think there's a concerted effort to push out the people that don't fit the bill for what they want the place to look like right now. And I guess that includes me. But
they're gentrifying Meade County, huh? Wow, that's pretty crazy, man.
Meade County, yeah. I mean, they've driven like all the poor people have basically gotten kicked out and live like kind of in the far western part of the county, like Battletown, if you remember those areas.
Oh yeah. Now, who was it? Was it the sheriff's department or was it the?
It was two sheriff's department.
Okay.
Two sheriff's department. They come out, do the whole thing, and I'm not answering their questions, and they're like, well, why aren't you telling? I'm like, because there's no reason for me to answer questions. You're out here over nothing, right? So what are we doing here? And the guy asked me for his ID. I was like, I'm not giving you my ID. And he was literally taken aback. Like he recoiled from me in horror when I said I wouldn't give him my ID. And I was like, look, man, I was like, you already know my name. You already know who I am. I don't need to give you my ID. There's no reason for me to do that. There's no complaints against, no real complaints. Someone complaining is not a legal complaint. Yeah. And he was like, is this your truck? I was like, yeah. And he's like, I'm going to call the tag in. I was like, do what you want, man. But I'm not giving you my ID. I got a freaking bug on my microphone.
Probably got one in your microphone now, buddy.
Probably. Yeah, probably so. So anyways, be quiet, Scott. Scott's over there laughing at that. Anyways, so the next day, I call the sheriff and I go up there to the sheriff's department, sit down with the sheriff in his office.
Oh, you went up there the next day?
I went up there the next day and I was like, hey man, like what's going on? Why? And basically so I told the cops, I was like, look, this property's posted no trespassing. I don't want you all coming out. I told the cop, I was like, I don't want you all coming out here over nothing.
Poking the bear, buddy.
Well, he's like, well, if we get a complaint about somebody hitting a house, it's like, if you get a complaint about somebody hit a bullet hitting a house and you have reason to think it was me, come on out. But I don't care to hear that somebody thinks it was loud. That's not a crime. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't want to be bothered about that. And I went up to the sheriff the next day and I talked with him about it. I was like, look, man, this was kind of nonsense what happened the other day. I don't want these guys coming out for nothing. He kind of went through the same thing. He was like, well, bullets can ricochet. I was like, yeah, but that's not what was being said. It was just somebody was upset that it was loud. And he ended up like, he seemed to be in agreement. He's like, I'm a big Second Amendment supporter and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, then 2 days later, I leave. I pass the cops like a couple roads up, the same ones coming towards my place that had seen me the other day. I was like, what the hell, man?
The same sheriffs?
The same two sheriffs. Yeah. The same two sheriffs. I've been stressed. I'm smoking. I know it's awful. I see them. I pull over. I pull up. I have an app for my security camera set up. Pull over. Pull up the camera. Then I get a call from a neighbor who's very, I guess, vigilant of the road, and he tells me, he's like, "Hey, man, them cops just went by again." I was like, "I know." And I'm sitting there looking, and all of a sudden, they didn't pull up with their vehicles. I see them like doing a pincer move. Like one of them's going in the woods over here, one of them's coming this way.
Were they making tactical moves, like tuck and roll?
Oh yeah, they had assault rifles, man. They had ARs with them. That's what they were carrying, AR-15s. Yes. Oh yes. So I called my neighbor back. I'm like, "Hey man, they're there. Like run over there, see what the fuck they were doing." And I sat there, I watched them. I'm recording them, and then I'm like, "What the fuck is?" And I call the sheriff up. This is Saturday. I get online. Of course, I call the office. Nobody's there. And I get online. I find his home number. And I call, and I guess it was his wife or something picked up. And she's like, "Oh, he's outside getting the lawnmowers going or something." I was like, "All right, well, I've got an issue. Could you have him call me back?" And then like 5 minutes later, I get a call from an unknown number, and it's the deputy that's out here at my house.
Right.
And he goes, "Yeah, he's off duty today. Can you come out here? I need to speak with you." No, that's not happening. I'm watching them. It was shortly after he called me. All of a sudden, my cameras went dead. But yeah, they come in my house, ransacked this place, broke also. They unplugged my refrigerator, man.
That is pretty low.
They unplugged my refrigerator. Like, I had a bunch of food in there I had to throw out. It was
cocksuckers, dude. Oh my God.
Just destroyed stuff. Took my laptop, took my camera, took my camera,
your DSLR?
that I was using my DSLR. They took the DVR for my security system. And of course, there were some guns here. They took the guns.
They had a search warrant, huh?
Yeah. They left the search warrant. They didn't leave why. They just left 3 pages of stuff that they stole. At the top of the page, it was hereby ordered, had the judge's name on it, the date, and it was like to seize all the above described things at the property. And then he wrote in pencil below all the stuff that was taken from here.
What was the date on the judge's signature?
Yeah, I mean, basically what it comes down to, it seems like they think that I'm a felon still.
That's what that lines up with the timing.
So
yeah, for sure.
I actually filed for the paperwork last year for the expungement, and the judge signed it last year. But of course, as with everything, you have to pay expungement fees and blah, blah, blah. I had just paid off my expungement fees like 2 months ago. And I talked to the woman at the court clerks. I was like, "Is this it? This is all I owe, right?" She's like, "Yeah, this is all you owe." And I was like, "Okay, here's the money." And I was like asking how long it takes to get everybody to get their paperwork. And she told me like a month. And I was like, "Okay, well, whatever, I just want it to be done." But I've got the it's signed by a judge, the piece of paper saying that my felony was expunged, read through it multiple times. It says expunged. It has all the charges I was convicted of with my felony conviction. But it seems like that's what it was. They, I guess, literally didn't get the memo that I'm not a felon. I think that they had already suspected that, or maybe a neighbor that knows that I'd gotten arrested told them, "Yeah, he's over there shooting all the time and he's a felon."
That's what it sounds like. Yeah, some nosy neighbor.
And then they come here on that. I think the first time they actually came here about the noise complaint, I think that they were just trying to get me to, I think they were prying to see if I would admit that there were guns here.
Right.
And then once I said, and I didn't really say it, but I said, like, there have been guns here, people bring guns here. I think that gave them the, whatever you would call it, to go get the search warrant to come in here and steal everything. So
I guess you got a phone call to make tomorrow, buddy.
I have already called the DUI guy.
Have you talked to a lawyer?
Well, of course they do it on Saturday, so you can't get a hold of any lawyers.
Well, yeah, that's the idea.
That is the idea, isn't it?
Well, they want to lock you up, and that way you can't see the judge till Monday to get bail. That's why they do it.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I've been down that road before.
Yeah.
But
they took your sword, huh?
They took my sword.
You're allowed to have swords. There's no, I mean, you can't just.
I'm allowed to have a laptop.
Yeah. What do they just take what they want?
Yeah. Well, I think I think the reason they took the security system and all that, like, I guess me calling the sheriff and then the cop calling me back, I'm assuming that they knew, and then also the neighbor coming over. I'm assuming that they figured out that, like, oh, I'm watching you on the security cameras. They got upset about that. But dude, I'm honestly,
it's so crazy.
Maybe I'm being paranoid, and I've got a damn good right to be paranoid, but I wonder if somehow or another, maybe when they were looking me up, because this was right after we released that podcast where I talk about how much I hate cops.
Which one?
And yeah. But yeah. So I wonder if when they were maybe looking me, I don't know. I know, like, they'll get on and look at Facebook to see if you got pictures of yourself with guns on there, stuff like that.
I guarantee you that's what happened. What do you think these sheriffs do all day, dude? You went up to the sheriff's department, fucking Brandenburg. All they do is sit around, drink coffee, and talk shit all day. So as soon as you showed up, they had some excitement. They're like, we're going to look this guy up. Saw your Facebook feed. Probably saw some video of you talking bad about the police. And they said, oh, we're going to find something on this guy. We're going to find something.
Probably.
And I don't...
They've literally got nothing on me. There's literally nothing.
They're supposed to be out there shooting black people. What the fuck are they messing with us for, Tony?
They've already shot them all. There's none left. I told you they were getting rid of the undesirables in Meade County.
America has erased the history of the labor movement from its curriculum. We were never taught about the years-long war between striking miners and coal companies, backed by state and local police. The Ludlow Massacre ended one of these wars when federal troops with machine guns were sent in to break the strike. This stuff makes me so upset, dude, when I read about it.
Oh my God. Yeah, it's horrible.
It's upsetting on upsetting on two levels. Like, on the first level, these guys died. They were massacred. Like, for example, the coal wars we talked about last time, the striking workers, the ones that weren't murdered, were thrown in prison afterward. And the second thing that bothers me is the fact that it's been completely erased from history.
I think that's the part that gets to me most. You know, we have all these different, you know, obviously we have like the foundational myths and these characters that we prop up from the creation of our country, you know, or the founding of our country, you know, Jefferson and Madison and Washington and all those. But then there's other people like Daniel Boone and Davy Crockett, but guys like these that in events like these that we should know the names of and we should be incredibly proud of, they just get put by the wayside. And it's so horrible. And
well, I think that's intentional. I think that's intentionally done.
I'm sure it is. I know it is. I know it is.
And so they came out to work these mines. They were looked at no more than, you know, just somebody to produce profit for the companies.
Forced overtime, when they left their homes, women that were left at home would often be exploited. 35
guys died in this one because of dust. 22 died in this one because of dust. 54 died in this one. It was just, I mean, the numbers were absolutely insane. I mean, explosions from dust, asphyxiation from dust. I'm sure they weren't keeping track of the people that died from, you know, black lung or lung diseases.
They didn't live that long to get black lung.
Yeah.
Fucking worked them to death, dude, like animals.
Worse than animals. They treated the mules better than them. The mules weren't coming there begging for a job. All the immigrants and poor people. And
it must have been pretty hard to convince all these mine workers that the Rockefellers somehow had a right to own these mines, like literally a hole in the earth. You're telling me that John D. Rockefeller had some moral right to own a hole in the earth? And the state governments were helping put down these strikers.
You know, and it's the same shit going on today. I mean, this is the same, Joe Manchin. Yeah. I mean, this is the same thing. You know, you have enough money, you set up these corrupt deals with government so that your business can flourish, and you just exploit and poison all the normal people in the area.
Yeah. Joe Manchin to this day runs his Maserati right over mine workers.
At the beginning of the strike, the governor of Colorado, Elias Ammon, called in the National Guard. But over time, the National Guardsmen were rotated out, and they were replaced by new recruits who also worked as mine guards for the companies. So by the spring of 1914...
the fuck?
So the miners celebrated feasting, dancing, even a baseball game. You know, it's kind of like pure Americana, what they're doing. He'd hoped to negotiate a truce and avoid any possible bloodshed. Tikas had his head beaten with a rifle stock until the stock broke, and then an officer pulled out a revolver and shot him in the back, killing him. While the ill-fated meeting was going on, two militias moved out and set up a machine gun position on a hill overlooking the town. Large explosions of dynamite from the machine gun crews rang out, signaling the attack to National Guard members. Machine guns and rifle fire opened up on the town. The men grabbed their guns to take up positions while their families ran for cover wherever they could find it.
This is crazy, dude.
Yeah.
It's literally state-sponsored terrorism against their own people to make them go back to work. It's utterly insane. And nobody knows about this. People would look very differently at the labor movement if they knew this history, man. Americans don't understand many things. One of them is immigration.
Previously, the governor said that because the Biden administration is taking immigrants by bus and dropping them off in Texas communities, he would take these people, put them on a bus, and send them to Washington, D.C. It's kind of like a, how do you...
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Mexicans are a punishment. If you get Mexicans, you're...
We will send the Mexicans to lower your property values. Yeah, so I don't know. It's, the standard right-wing showpiece.
You smell like taco stands.
It's awful. God, man. I tell you, just as an aside, Mexicans are my favorite people. If I were ever to leave the country to live, it would definitely be Mexico or South America. It's such a great place. The people are so awesome. Yeah. The culture is so freaking amazing. The food, the fucking music, man. Could you imagine just sitting around eating tacos, listening to flamenco guitar all day? Just
I could do without the music, but the rest of it.
Oh, I love flamenco.
These conservatives get so confused when it comes to immigration. They don't even understand the basic concepts involved.
It's such an easy story. It's like I've said at the beginning. It's a story to scare your grandpa.
Yeah.
He's stuck at home. He's retired. Unfortunately, his wife passed away a few years ago. So he just sits around all day, getting angry and watching Sean Hannity. Title 42 was a provision enacted in the Public Health Service Act of 1944. Essentially, it provides emergency provisions for expulsion, not deportation, of individuals for public health concerns. The pretext Trump was using was that the CDC had in fact listed many Central and South American countries as COVID hotspots. So he was expelling these potentially infectious people to protect citizens.
Well, he wasn't expelling them. He was making them wait in Mexico for the asylum process, which they're not even fucking Mexican. They're just in some foreign country with no support. Well,
people in general that were caught crossing the border for whatever reason, asylum seekers or not, he would just ship them right back over to Mexico, and said that that the areas were deemed by the CDC at the time to be COVID hotspots. So it was kind of it was definitely a discriminatory practice on his part.
COVID was fake.
It depends on what context we're talking.
Oh.
So there's a number of other legal issues surrounding this, essentially the discriminatory focus on immigrants and asylum seekers from Central and South American countries. They were COVID hotspots. If you recall, Trump referred to the virus as the China virus, and immigrants from China and other COVID hotspots did not face Title 42 expulsion. Also, incidentally, so far, Biden has expelled way more immigrants than Trump ever did.
Well, there's also the fact that the United States is the largest hotspot in the world, so really, immigrants would lower our COVID rate, you would think. Probably the most disturbing thing we covered this year was the massacre in Norway. One man with a hatred for outsiders and too much money hunted down and killed over 50 children. So this is the initial aftermath of the bomb.
I mean, this is exactly what Timothy McVeigh did, right? Like, just park a van out in front of a building with a bunch of ammonium nitrate, and I don't know. It's kind of scary that this doesn't happen more often, really.
A 50-year-old legal advisor was in her office on the 11th floor when a car bomb ripped through the central Oslo, killing 8 people. The force of the blast shattered a nearby wooden window, sending a 12-inch splinter through her chin and up through her skull. This is a crazy photo. I hadn't seen this previously. Check this out, dude.
Oh my goodness. Oh, you can't show me stuff like that, James.
It entered right below her ear here. You can kind of see it.
Oh my goodness.
So let's go on to Atoya here. This is the island where he conducted the second half of his two-part operation. Here it is. Pretty cool. It was given to the Labor Party. So Anders Breivik leaves the van with the bomb in it, gets in another van, heads toward Atoya here, where Gro Harlem was giving a speech. Every summer, the Labor Party has a camp here. They used to until Breivik arrived here dressed as a police officer. The last thing he had ordered for his mission was a police uniform. He told the ferrymen that he was sent to protect the island amid further threats, because nobody had caught him yet, obviously. They didn't know who they were even looking for at this point. The police had fucked up the APB. So he tells the ferrymen, hey, I was sent here to to secure the island. So the ferryman ferries him across with this. He has luggage, and heavy-ass luggage thing he wheels onto the fucking ferry with him full of ammunition.
Nothing going on here, guys. Don't.
Golly, dude, so many people fucked up along the way here.
Well, it's good to know that cops are incompetent everywhere.
Golly, man.
He's got a bayonet. What are you going to bayonet?
You don't have a bayonet?
I got a bipod. No bayonet, though.
The bayonet's for when you run out of bullets, man. Everybody knows that. That's what they said about the Soviets. The Soviets, they didn't have bullets. They just had the bayonets.
Yeah, I'm forgetting, in the 2A community, the Second Amendment community, there's a term for this kind of guy. And basically, I mean, it's really appropriate. It refers to the guy that has too much money and wants to LARP, and so he buys every attachment imaginable to put on his gun because he thinks it makes him look cooler. And then, of course, you also have to get the vest and stuff like that.
Isn't every gun person a LARPer?
Yes, but there's levels, and one level discriminates on the other level.
Right. So the police made several key mistakes during this time. Nobody knew what he looked like, even though there was an eyewitness from the initial Oslo bombing who had told the police who to look for and what he was dressed like and everything. But they, like, some fucking clerk put it on a sticky note and put it next to a police officer who was on the phone, and it never got across. APB was never put out correctly. There was also a mistake by the police as far as crossing. They were supposed to cross at the initial ferry location, but somehow some officer at some point made the decision to move the location of the crossing to some other place. The police refused several offers for boats to help them get across to the island during the shooting. They refused those because they had their own boat, this fucking blow-up boat. They had to blow up, and then they got it halfway out there. The boat was overloaded, and the boat was sinking, and somebody had to come rescue the fucking police.
Oh my god,
it was a total shit show, dude. Meanwhile, they can hear the fucking gunfire from the island.
They can hear the shooting going on while they're out there in their little dinghy.
Fucking dipshits, dude. So he had roughly an hour to hunt down all the cultural Marxists.
Jesus.
Once again, Tony is raided by police. They execute a search warrant on false grounds. He's been charged with having guns as a felon, except he's not a felon.
Dude, I've had some shit fucking happen this week.
Oh, geez, here we go.
Oh, yeah. Monday, I'm over at my mom's, who lives in the property, like, through the woods. I get a call from a lawyer. I'm talking to my lawyer. She says, yeah, they've issued an arrest warrant for you on these charges. I was like, okay, well, she's like, I'm going to call them up, see if we can, present you to court, get you on the docket. Like, all right, that's, yeah, that sounds good. Thank you. Me and my mom are getting ready to go somewhere. I was going to go with her to pick something up. She's looking to buy a camper. I walk over here to my house, and who do I see in my driveway? Meade County Sheriff's Department. So I'm on the phone with my lawyer. I go back over there. She's like, why are you breathing so hard? I was like, they're fucking here. And she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Anyways, she tells me, she's like, look, they consider you, she's still flabbergasted. She's like, I don't even know what they're charged. Like, I don't know why they're charging you. They should know these charges are, you're not a felon. You're not a felon. You're getting charged with having guns as a felon, but you're not a felon. And so anyway, she's like, I'm going to try to get this arrest warrant taken care of so we can go up there, we can present our evidence. And she's like, right now, like, they're looking at you as like an armed and dangerous fugitive. She's like, you need to be very, very careful.
Oh God.
Like, ideally, you do not stay at your home, go somewhere. And so that's how I got sick. I went and stayed with Scott. Scott's got a little 2-year-old, and he's cute as shit, but 2-year-olds constantly have like a stream of snot running down their face, and he's like coming over and touching me. Anyways, but yeah, so I stayed over there, go up to court Wednesday. We walk in, present me first thing in the morning, and they come out, arrest me, serve the warrant, take me back there. I'm back there for 5 minutes. They don't even finish booking me. And somebody comes back and says, the judge wants Mr. Cantrell out front right now. And they take me back out front in chains. And my lawyer starts going into the whole thing like, what are these charges? Like, we've got the paper, this is whatever. And the fucking prosecutor like starts stuttering. And she's like, well, we think that there's other charges. And the judge gets on and starts pulling my stuff up. And my lawyer goes, no, there's nothing else. Like, this is the only thing. You all just didn't update your paperwork. And the judge goes, yeah, I don't see anything. And he's like, Mr. Cantrell, I'm going to go ahead and release you on your own recognizance. Be back up here, July 13th. And
what do you have to show back up for? They didn't throw it out right there?
They didn't throw it out right there, no. So I got to go back, I guess, because the prosecutor was saying that there was multiple felonies on the original charge. I was only convicted of one of them. I think that the prosecutor just didn't want to look stupid, so she was like trying to make some shit up. But yeah, my lawyer feels very confident that this is. She's like, you're gonna get your stuff back very soon, and these are all gonna get dropped. This is like the most bullshit of bullshit things. But
see, if you didn't have a lawyer, then they would have tried to fuck you. They don't care.
If I didn't have a lawyer, I would have been severely fucked. Yeah, it would have been, because it was fucking insane, man. Like, I ain't been in trouble in forever.
Well, the cards are all stacked against you. They can execute this horrible episode of just prosecutorial misconduct, like just ineptitude by the sheriff's department, and it doesn't matter. There'll be no repercussions. Nothing punitive will happen to any of the people involved.
Yeah.
Imagine if you'd got shot or something, in the original raid.
Oh yeah, yeah. Because they come back out. So here's a kicker for you. They come out this second time, and some cash come up missing, and that cash is not listed on. They took some more shit. That cash is not listed on the list of shit that they took.
Of course, why would it be?
Well, the first time it was. The first time they took $1,700. I've taken money out to pay. I just have a driveway put in. I think I'd already said this. Had money setting aside to pay the guy for the gravel. They took the original amount. They wrote it down, listed it, and then I had to pull it out again to pay the guy, and it's kind of taking some time to get in touch with him to pay him. They took it, but they didn't fucking write it down this time. It was $2,200.
Jesus
taken from my home.
Dude.
Yeah.
Some people are just so cringe in such a funny way that we can't avoid taking our shots at them. Jordan Peterson fits the bill perfectly. It's still up. He didn't delete the tweet. Sorry, not beautiful, and no amount of authoritarian tolerance is going to change that. She doesn't look that bad for a big girl. I mean, what the fuck is he talking about?
No, that's what I'm saying. First off, like, Jordan Peterson has this giant backlash. He tweets this really just stupid. I don't even know, like,
it's gross.
I think the general consensus, it's just gross. It's just mean-spirited and stupid. And he gets this giant backlash from pretty much all of Twitter, including a lot of his fans.
Oh, really?
And then he starts, there was a lot of his. People were like, hey, man, like, that's what my wife looks like. Like, and I think my wife is beautiful.
This might be the most epic ratio of all time on Twitter.
Big girls are beautiful.
Jordan Peterson's wife for you.
Yeah. Oh, there was a lot of people that were bringing that up too.
While all cops are bad, it's in their job description, Louisville Metro seemed to be the vanguard of shitty behavior. It's almost like it's widespread, like corruption is just widespread in the policing.
It's almost as if cops are just scum. And it doesn't matter where they're at, they're all just fucking scum.
I wouldn't go quite that far, but I'd agree with the sentiment.
I would go much further, but we're in front of the whole world.
Once they detained me, they got me outside. I was handcuffed on the stretcher. I would just talk to the neighbor, and I was asking if she could get the money out of my pocket for rent to give to my kid's mother. And the next thing you know, one of the detectives came from behind me, and he reached in my pocket and took the money out.
This was on a search warrant that they had. They come into the guy's house. The reason he's on a stretcher, he gets his two daughters together because he hears the SWAT banging search warrant. They break in the door, and as he's standing there with his two daughters, one of the officers hits him in the face with the butt of his rifle and breaks his zygomatic arch, and they just beat the shit out of him right in front of his kids.
According to him, he put his hands up and then they hit him in the face with the butt of the gun. The photos are horrific, dude. I don't know what they did to his shoulder, but they like ripped the skin off of his fucking
it looked
shoulder.
like a chunk of
How did they do that?
Missing.
That must have been like a boot scraped. Oh, God, it's gross. They fucked him up, dude. Broke his orbital bone.
I've heard these kind of stories before. There was one guy in particular. It was an old guy I knew in school. You probably knew him too. And his dad had gotten busted in this drug bust. Police broke in. He had 5 trash bags of pot. When he got brought to court, the evidence that they showed and what they got charged with was the four trash bags full of pot. And him not being cowed by the intimidation of the police, he announced in court that no, there was 5 trash bags. There's one missing. Charged me with whatever it was that I actually had. He was, I guess, trying to call out one of the cops in particular that he felt like it took it. But having it happen to me and seeing like later in life, like, oh, these things actually do happen. And then seeing stories like this come out, it's cathartic, I guess. And hopefully it's eye-opening for a lot of people.
And the insidious thing is there's literally nothing you can do. There's no recourse. There is no way to prove that money even existed because it's the police's word against yours and you're a fucking criminal. So it's extremely rare that anything is ever recovered once it's been forfeited. Even worse is if it doesn't get reported. Then there is literally nothing you can do. You can't sue the officer for stealing money because there's no way to prove it. He just put it in his pocket. I mean, there's no way to prove it. Perhaps at least a few people had their eyes opened to the ineptitude, fear, and corruption of the police after their lies were exposed in Uvalde. 11:33, he enters the room. 11:35, 2 minutes later, 3 Uvalde Police Department officers enter the school through the same door used by the gunman. 2 are grazed by gunfire. 4 more officers later enter the building. So there's 7 in the building at this point. 16 rounds are fired.
What is grazed? They weren't hit, right?
It says grazed. They were shot at, I assume.
They were shot at. Yeah, they were shot at. They weren't hit.
They just heard gunfire and freaked the fuck out.
Yeah, most likely.
They hear 16 rounds being popped off inside the classroom. 12:15, members of the Border Patrol arrive. Tactical unit arrive with shields because I guess the police didn't have shields.
Gotta have shields.
I mean, they could have found a trash can lid or something. I don't know, man.
or here's something crazy. Put yourself on the line for children.
Border Patrol arrive, and Border Patrol is the ones with the shields, and they're chilling, I guess, until from 12:15 to 12:50. Why is that the case?
Cowardice. I believe cowardice is the word you're looking for. Even if the worst case scenario was true, go in there. Every bullet that he shoots at you is a bullet that's not going to be shot as a kid.
Right. The more they're distracting him from killing kids, the better. They could just bust the door in and just fuck with him for a while.
Fuck with him. Just go in there, start
Wait
shooting.
till he has to reload or something. You know what I mean?
And cops have this hero fantasy. Like, you want to legit be a hero? Go in and lose your life or get shot saving children.
Anyway, I have some questions to pose to you here in light of this most recent mass shooting. I think 22 dead total here. Would the police have done more harm than good if they had went in? Would they have, shot each other and fallen all over themselves while the wacky music plays?
I see that as an absolute win all around. So they go in, they soak up some bullets from the attacker, and in their confusion, they shoot themselves. Hopefully they shoot the attacker too. And then everyone, that's a win-win-win.
Right.
So no, they would not have done more harm. There might have been a few kids that got shot by the police, but that's to be expected.
That's better than all of the kids.
I'm sure they would have found somebody's dog to shoot in the process too.
Are school shooters the same type of person as the bringing dead cats to school people who we have are acquainted with?
It is a person that, first off, wants attention, doesn't know how to get it. And I don't know. I think this would all probably fall into the incel category. You're trying to get attention. You don't know how to get attention from girls. So you either shoot up a school. Yeah. Or in the other case, you don't know how to talk to girls. So you bring a dead cat to school.
Well, I guess more specifically, we went to school with
this. Conversation starter is what it is.
Just the smell. That's going to start a conversation. So we went to school with this.
Your pussy smells bad.
We went to school. God. Went to school with somebody who did this. And I'm just wondering, so for example, Salvador Ramos, on a spectrum, on the scale of 1 to 10 here, 10 being Salvador Ramos, where would we place Bill, we'll call him, for the purposes of this episode?
I don't know. I think he was hovering right around a 7 or an 8.
Wow, really? That is, a dead animal.
I think he was, he might have been like one stub toe away from getting a hold of a gun and bringing it to school.
2022 will go down in history as the year we exposed another sinister Disney plot.
Disney has made just recently made a big statement kind of pushing back against what they're calling the toxic fandom. Ewan McGregor even released a little clip about all the hate that the actress Moses Ingram is getting. Now, obviously, like a lot of the hate that she's getting is fucked up. People are really pushing at her hard with the overtly racist stuff. But I think there's a lot of people in general that are upset at the character being bad, and then Disney's just calling them racist to, I guess, avert any blame about their poor character writing. But I don't know. So there's fans make accusations that Reva is a diversity hire, and I just want to go into if there's any truth to that. So my theory is these movies, they're written almost like by committee. You've got so many different hands in the pot wanting to add and take away from this and that. You end up having all these different characters, and just for whatever reason, Disney Star Wars cannot write, like if there's going to be 15 characters in a movie or series, they can only make like 5 good characters, and they're going to have like 5 mediocre characters and 5 shitty characters. My theory is they give the 5 shitty characters, they give them to minority actors. That way, when people point out that they're shitty characters, they get to call everybody racist. So I feel like I've really hit on something pretty solid here, and I needed to get this out to the community as quickly as possible.
China leads the world in making Black Mirror episodes come to life, but maybe we can help close that gap. And it's basically they just copied our credits, our credit score thing, but this with some modifications, of course, with Chinese characteristics, one could say. But I'm on board. I love the idea. This is like it's from Black Mirror, but I think it's great. I'm a collectivist, man. The individual is irrelevant. They can smush him with tanks. Who gives a fuck? There's billions of them, literally. So why is a social credit system preferable to fines for civil offenses? So you have a score, and instead of you speed, and instead of getting a speeding ticket, they take away 5 social points or whatever the fuck it is. But yeah, social credit score is preferable to fines for civil offenses, not for criminal offenses. You know, don't be going around raping people just to lose points. But this brings up an interesting thought. Why aren't fines like a speeding ticket it's $500 if you're working at fucking Dairy Queen or if you're working at Goldman Sachs? Why is that? Why aren't fines a percentage of your yearly income? Wouldn't that make more sense? That way it hurts everybody just as much.
It does make a lot more sense. I know that they do that in the Nordic countries where it is based on your...
Really?
I want to say Norway or Sweden, maybe both. It's based on a percentage of your income. So if you make $1 million a year, you might get a $5,000 speeding ticket. Whereas if you get minimum wage, whatever that is, it'll just be a couple $100 or kronars or whatever weird type of made up currency they have.
See, that should be a bipartisan issue. Gonna start a super PAC.
Yeah, you're going to gain a lot of traction. Let's fine rich people more when they do shitty things. Let's make it more difficult for them to buy their way out of their criminal activities.
Great fundraising message.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, give me some money so I can make things more expensive for you.
But the idea is that instead of just having the stick for your approach to governing, you have the carrot and stick approach. You can reward people for doing good things and also punish them for doing bad things. See, this makes so much sense to me, dude. This is obvious to me. I don't know. I think this is great.
Okay, so the social credit system is a number that's attached to each individual, kind of like we have credit scores here, but it takes a lot more into account. So it's taken I'm assuming it's actually like a credit score in that making payments on time, and then it just gets into other social things. If you're showing up to work, if you're not speeding, if you're...
Well, in China, this is mostly theoretical. It's only implemented in like a few major cities, and it mostly affects middle class people when it comes to getting loans. Basically, they'll dock you if you were like being subversive, right?
Subversive.
Yeah, if you're like talking shit on Twitter or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Talking shit about calling people Winnie the Pooh and crazy stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't like that part. So you can't be a troll.
Well, we're not taking their system. We're designing our own here.
No shit posters allowed in China.
Right. So your question was, what do you get with your social credit? So you've been a really good citizen. You have a high score. What do you get? So my first thought is a fast pass at Disney World, because the fast pass now is just for rich people.
Yes.
If you're a YouTube influencer or a politician, you buy the fast pass for, I don't know how much it is, probably a lot. And you don't have to wait in long lines at fucking Disneyland like every other schmuck.
To be fair, so I went with my girlfriend's family. They're doing well.
Tell me.
And we went to, where was it?
You
It was an amusement park, Kings Island. And I had so much fun walking past all those stinking fucking peasants. As I just walked in a different line, I seen them just this giant mass of the unwashed proletariat hordes.
You get good parking. Good parking. If anybody who lives in a city knows, parking is paramount. Instead of handicapped people, because really they're mostly handicapped because they're fat. They need to lose weight anyway, make them park in the back and walk. And then if you have a high credit score, you get to park in the front in the handicap spots.
I love it.
Good idea.
Good idea.
I have a couple of examples of here what is going to cause you to lose social points. So, for example, cutting in line at the grocery store. This happened to me not that long ago. In 2021, it was. A woman cut in line at a fucking Walmart in front of us, in front of everybody. And of course, I say something, and then I feel like an asshole for saying something. But she's the one that cut in line. And she's probably been doing this her whole life, and nobody's ever said nothing to her. She's been getting away with it. Of course, it was an attractive woman who just gets away with fucking murder.
Well, that's the problem right there.
Sure.
It's attractive, and they know they can get away with it.
Not around me, buddy.
Not
Your
around
ass to
me.
the fucking back of the line.
Accountability. This is what this is called.
Yeah, that's right.
Holding you accountable.
Side zooming. This is one we've touched on before. One of my biggest pet peeves. I hate this. If I had psychic powers, I would instantly cause everyone who did this to burst into flames with my anger.
This is people that are trying to merge and they speed up.
Well, this is like there's a lane closure ahead or something like that where everybody has to be in the same lane ahead of you, but there's a little bit of space where they can side zoom and they'll zoom past everybody else waiting in line to try to cut ahead, basically cutting in line again. It's another instance of cutting in line, but this time in a vehicle.
You seem to be placing a lot of emphasis on like etiquette and courtesy, which I agree are very important.
It's not that, it's the fairness.
It's the fairness. Okay.
Right.
Okay,
I want to enforce fairness with an iron fist. Always turned out well.
Yeah.
And you can gain social points too here. Volunteering your time at a soup kitchen. Nice anarchist thing to do. Help out the poor and needy. Picking up trash, doing the shitty jobs again.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So there's ways to redeem yourself. You have a bad day. You do something shitty. You regret it. You put in the hours, put in the work, do something for community, and you can get back in the good graces of the overlords.
Yeah, this would also end the problem of a bunch of right-wingers complaining about censorship, If you get canceled, you just work your way back up. Stop saying the N-word.
Jordan Peterson. Jesus. Calm down, buddy. Taking Xanax and yelling racial slurs at people. I know it's fun, but I think this it needs a lot of clarification. I would want to be very thorough with your social credit system on exactly how it works. I want to make sure there's not people out there gaming the system. I want to make sure that you don't have any counter-revolutionary ideas on what is fair and what isn't fair, because there might be some things that I think are fair that you don't think are fair. But overall, I'm liking the idea.
Yeah, I'm bringing you around to it, huh?
Yeah, so you get kind of minor perks of society. There might be things that appeal to everybody because I'm not really a big theme park person, but maybe there's something that appeals to me. Maybe if you got a high social credit score, if you get it so high, you can get a 10% off your internet bill for the month. You can redeem it for stuff like that. Just redeem it for cash. Yeah, I get a
faster internet speed.
Yeah, I get to preview the new movie that's coming out. If you've got your credit score over a certain amount, you get to your Netflix account will play this movie 5 days before everybody else.
Ooh, that's a great idea.
Yeah.
Early release. Let's take it a step further. Let's say there's an inverse relationship between your credit score and your income tax. So the higher your credit score, your social credit score, the lower your income tax.
Assuming there's no way to game the system, I really like stuff like that. You're imposing niceness on everybody through impoverishing them through punitive taxes.
Yes, now you see my plans. Being a serial killer and a genius are not mutually exclusive. Ted Kazcynski proves this.
Hang on. I got the wrong one. There we go. This is the correct one.
Looks about the same to me.
Yeah, a little bit. And then, of course, there's the famous picture. This really struck me. So I'm watching it, and there's some similarities, I'll say. Famous picture of Ted standing outside the cabin that he built with a green roof. Oh shit! There we go. Maybe a little bit similar.
Huh?
I don't know. Yeah. Mine's bigger, Ted. Sorry.
Looks inspired. Definitely inspired by, though.
I guess you know the story. Ted was labeled a genius in the 5th grade after scoring a 167 on an IQ test. Now, apparently he would take a test later in life after he was arrested, and they would, I know you don't put a whole lot of stock in IQ tests, but I think later in life he took one, he scored like somewhere in the 130s. Most of the psychologists that were dealing with him were saying that was probably a little bit closer to correct. You know, he wasn't the Hawking level super genius that the documentaries like to make him out to be.
He was still smart as fuck. He got into Harvard at 15 or some shit.
At 15, yeah. So he graduated high school at 15 to go on to Harvard. Yeah, his counselor wrote for his entrance letter, "I believe Ted has one of the greatest contributions to make to society. He is reflective, sensitive, and deeply conscious of his responsibilities to society." You might classify him as an incel today. He was not having a whole lot of luck with the ladies, and he came to the conclusion at one point that the only way he'd be able to touch a woman was by becoming a woman himself, which is pretty big-brained, I have to admit.
One way to go about it.
That is one way to go about it.
Most people would just get a prostitute, but yeah, it didn't seem like he had gender dysphoria. It just seemed like he had this harebrained idea to get a sex change.
Yeah, that's what it seemed like. Yeah, it never come up again. It just like,
right.
Maybe he just, honestly, that's what it was. Like, I couldn't get any. I wanted to grab some tits, and I just
genius.
figured I'd get them.
This
is how get them on me.
It's how geniuses think.
We need to do the meme where it's like the small brain, little brain, you know, it's like galaxy brain, like,
yeah,
sit at home and jerk off, get a personality, get my own tits.
Yeah.
Ted's assessment of why leftists always want to champion these different minority groups is that leftists view these people as inferior, and they identify, so I guess two parts. They view them as inferior, and they identify with that inferiority. This is from Kazcynski again. Many leftists have an intense identification with the problems of groups that have an image of being weak, women, defeated American Indians, repellent homosexuals, or otherwise inferior. The leftists themselves feel that these groups are inferior. They would never admit to themselves that they have such feelings, but it is precisely because they do see these groups as inferior that they identify with their problems. We do not mean to suggest that women, Indians, etc. are inferior. We're only making a point about the leftist psychology.
Yeah, this is a great point. I've heard this exact same point from modern leftists, like people like Bhaskar Sankara. This is a pretty solid critique of liberalism.
So yeah, feminists want to prove women are as strong and capable as men because they fear that they may not be. This is what we see play out in modern woke cinema, for example. There's this clear effort made to make women strong, capable, and self-reliant in an overt way, and it almost suggests that they feel like they will not be strong and confident and capable if they're not made overtly that through the medium of whatever art it is that they're putting out. You know, you can't just do a Sarah Connor, just a badass chick. You have to have a Rey Skywalker or whatever. So it is this psychological self-hatred that drives leftists to hate America, Western civilization, white males. To have succeeded, one must have somehow, somewhere suppressed someone else. I've been listening to two people all week, Ted Kazcynski and Slavoj Žižek. What a combination they've made.
Experienced the same situation already 25 years ago at a very politically correct conference where white liberals were excelling each other into who will humiliate himself more. We are to blame everything. Oh, Eurocentrism, we brought slavery, it's nightmare, we are guilty of everything. Christianity, the worst one, it was invented to screw other races and so on and so on. And then a black friend of mine, not to embarrass him, I will not mention his name. So, well, wait a minute, guys, we are not so innocent. We also had our own Louis Farrakhan, black racism and so on. And I noticed that the mighty white liberal professors exchanged these embarrassed gazes, which means precisely, no, sorry, guy, we are to blame. We are nothing. Who are you to say that you are also nothing? The message was clear. Precisely when white liberals humiliate themselves, like, and I notice this again and again, like, we are worthless, we don't have the right, like, if that's subtle racism expressed in this forum.
That was Slavoj Žižek. He is very upset about reverse racism, as am I.
He's sort of making the same point that Kazcynski's making here.
Yeah, making the exact same point. It's this a psychological tendency that exists in certain leftists for kind of this self-hatred and self-deprecation, or this apprehension to, I guess, give non-minority peoples any credit in any situation. Obviously, it's not endemic; it's just certain people. But it is a psychological type that's pretty identifiable.
Yeah, fucking liberals. We have a term for this in the hood. It's called Captain Save-A-Ho. Everybody's trying to play Captain Save-A-Ho.
Yeah, so there, Zizek talking about this kind of tendency for self-hatred, self-deprecation amongst these white liberals going on. So they say they hate the West because it is warlike, imperialistic, sexist. But when these same faults appear in socialist countries, they make excuses. I immediately thought of somebody like Hassan when I read this part, where he just wants to, I guess, make excuses. I mean, well, we saw this with the whole Russia thing, where he was equating anti-US with anti-imperialist. So Russia must be doing something good or must not be completely bad because the US is opposed to them. This a lot.
I would disagree with that take. I would say that it's okay to try and provide more context to what's going on in Russia and Ukraine right now without being a tanky. Like you can say, hey, how about 2014 Maidan? There's other things going on than just these things don't happen out of context. Everything's in context of the history. Sure.
And I'm always a fan for adding more context to anything. I don't think that's what Hassan was interested in doing. And of course, you see this a lot with the Cuban Revolution, for example. I mean, obviously, I guess I'd be a supporter of the Cuban Revolution, but I've read people that really try to whitewash and downplay the atrocities and the negative aspects of that revolution after the fact. It's a weird.
It's like rose-colored glasses, right? You always, I don't know. There is a point there that, yeah.
It's an opposition. It's this overt opposition to anything Western, just to be opposed to Western, just because that's the more powerful side. That's the side with all the power, and you want to oppose power, so you support anything that is against power.
There is always a strain in any discussion of I'm more counterculture than you. That there's always that strain.
I mean, that's tankies, right? They're
it's not just tankies.
Like one step forward.
There's even people to the more extreme than tankies.
Well, sure. So the conclusion is that leftists don't hate the West for the reasons given. They hate the West because it is successful, and this is what leftists hate more than anything: is successful people, successful entities.
This take, I don't know about, buddy. I don't know about this take.
Don't let your address be public knowledge. Then might be getting a little package from old Teddy. So I certainly don't think that Ted's characterization of the left is complete or absolute or necessarily even meaningful in the way that we would view the left, but it does seem to hit a vein, one that's been around for a while, apparently. This is the characterization of the left that exists, and it exists for a reason. The broad themes that Kazcynski touched on show up through a kind of wide swath of liberals. So in 95, Ted would have been reacting to what he was seeing during the height of Clintonism. This was pure neoliberalism. If I can look inside Ted's mind for a minute, in the Marxist vocabulary, Ted will look at all these issues as just bourgeois concerns. The leftist views himself as a rebel, yet he rebels within the technological system. The technological system doesn't care what religion you are, as long as progress marches forward. The technological system doesn't concern itself with petty sexual or racial differences, just as long as people can get along well enough to perpetuate that system. So I think that's his ultimate take on all this stuff, is that all these concerns that people get really invested in are tertiary to the main issue, which is perpetuating a technological system that is much more harmful to society than people realize, and that it overwhelms the amount of good that it does for society.
Yeah, Ted he's an anarcho-primitivist, basically, which, is it just him conflating capitalism with technological advancement? Because those two things are not the same. Is it that, or is it, he's always had this sort of anti-technological vein to his writing, it seems like, even in way back in his early days.
I don't know. So what do you think? I think the level of sophistication that Ted would like to see us at, from what I I can understand is like early 1800s, like pioneer Western settler, that kind of level of technological development. How do you feel about that? Somebody that's very tuned in.
My opinion on
Yeah,
if
are
that's
you ready?
what.
Are you ready when the system comes down? When Ted brings the system down, are you going to be ready? Are you going to be okay? Are you going to be happy to live in a system at that level of technological development?
Well, first of all, I yearn for the Armageddon to come. I love post-apocalyptic shit. That's my jam. I would love nothing more. I would love nothing more than to tear all this shit down and start from scratch. But just if we're going to talk about policy and what's ideal for society, I don't think getting rid of vaccinations and Madame Curie and all the gains we've made as a society, I think this is all leading to something, hopefully, some sort of post-Earth society, interstellar travel, eternal life. These are the things that we're pushing towards here with the technology. And the scientific community is not in any way reliant upon capitalism to exist. We can tear down the capitalist system, form the municipal type society that Ted is talking about here that we used to have, small communities working together in cooperation to form a society. We can do all that without the dominance of capitalists owning it everything.
Yeah, I really think that the answer is, I guess, further democratization of the workplace and of the economy. This is something you've kind of talked about. A capitalistic system. You're producing so much excess, and all that excess is just going to the top. And if we kind of spread it out amongst everyone else, I think the arithmetic of the benefits to the negatives kind of goes in the other direction a little bit.
We didn't really talk about his bombings, but he started off just bombing like university professors and shit that he didn't like. His last bombing was the only one where I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good bombing. He bombed like the advertising exec for like Exxon.
Yeah.
I was like, that's probably justifiable. The rest of them are really dumb. Let's just get all these math guys a prostitute whenever they need it. We don't need this.
This is what happens when an incel goes unchecked.
Right.
For 20 years in the woods, he's out there getting more and more mad. God damn it. Why didn't I just get that sex change 20 years ago?
When capitalism meets farming, you get this. Yeah, so they do this multiple times. I guess they grow back and they do it again. If you buy a down anything, odds are this is where the feathers come from, unfortunately. But
oh my God,
it's not just ducks and geese. This is fairly common among many of God's creatures. Great documentary here, by the way, narrated by Joaquin Phoenix.
In 2015, clothing brand Kubra shut down their Australian operations and began importing rabbit fur from Europe.
Oh no! Oh, they got it tied down.
The rabbits too, man. They pluck the fur off the rabbits while they're still alive. They're not really supposed. Like a lot of places do it though because the fur is longer and more profitable. Apparently.
Well, we can't sacrifice profit. So I guess so.
Yeah. All right. This is a tweet from Ms. Ashley Hinson, representative, U.S. House. Awesome afternoon at the Bremer County Cattlemen's Banquet with Senator Chuck Grassley. Great to catch up with everyone and talk about our efforts to ensure independent cattle producers have fair market access and to push back on California's bacon ban.
Jesus Christ.
PolitiFact has this labeled as half true, applies to more than pork, and aims to prevent animal cruelty. But Proposition 12 requires that pork, egg, and veal producers increase square footage for areas that animals are confined in. The law bans the sale of products in the state from companies not following standards set to prevent animal cruelty. Proposition 12 would ban more than pork, but the main goal of the law is to prevent animal cruelty.
So we can only make bacon if we get to torment the animals. That's the only way.
In a related story, the yin yang fish is a dish that had begun being served in 2007. There's a TikTok of the yin yang fish being served on a plate.
Oh my goodness.
This is absolutely horrifying and was first introduced in Taiwan, like I said, in 2007, where it was declared illegal. However, this is now fairly common on the mainland part of China. I guess it was picked up by some restaurants there. So what they do is they gut and deep fry the fish, being careful not to damage the head. So it is still alive. But
this is just cruelty this is like food for sadists. It's like cruelty for the sake of cruelty. There's no reason to do this at all.
Oh, goodness.
I don't know. I don't care about fish that much. I think, who was it? Kurt Cobain Hey, it's okay to eat fish because they don't have any feelings. So take that to heart, people.
Well, that solves that age-old question of the sentience of lesser animals. Something seems a little off about the FBI's story surrounding the Boston bombing. So this is the guy, this is the second officer that arrived on the scene.
This fucking tool with a spiked hair. Jesus, man.
It doesn't show the first officer, but this is the second officer here.
The street.
Sergeant John McClellan closes in with another Watertown officer, Joey Reynolds, just ahead of him.
I come around the corner and the bad guy's out, arms fully stretched out.
Reported shots fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle.
Shooting at the windshield of
now listen to this.
Officer Reynolds' cruiser.
Shots fired at Watertown police officers.
The bad guy switches from Joey to me and takes one shot and puts it right through the middle of my windshield from about 120 feet away.
We need assistance immediately. Shots fired again. Shots fired again.
That's pretty good accuracy at that range with a pistol.
Here, I said, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I jumped up, threw it in drive, and I just jumped down right here, and I was following it. I was the
car's moving.
Car's moving, and I'm following it like this and just shooting right in between here, using the door as cover. So I probably took 12, 15 steps with the vehicle and saw the tree. I shut the door. I ran to the tree, and they think someone's in it the whole time. So you can see them shooting at it. You can see them throwing the bombs at it. And I'm like, I was like, geez, this is working. I'm like, I can't believe it.
I guarantee he did a ninja roll. He like shuts the door and he's like tries to do a ninja roll, but he's incredibly overweight, so he ends up landing on his flashlight.
Now a third Watertown officer, Sergeant Jeff Puglisi, responds.
And I fired 3 or 4 shots. I was positive I was hitting him, but he wasn't going down.
In more than 3 decades on the force, neither man had ever fired his weapon in action until this night.
Yeah, who did you hit?
Tamerlan.
Did he keep shooting?
He came charging up the street, shooting at me. He turned, he ran down back onto the street, took a left. I chased after him, and I probably left about 4 or 5 feet in the air and came down on the shoulders and tackled him.
We had 8 bullets in him, and he was still fighting us. The only I had was my empty gun, and I pistol whipped him. I was trying to knock him out. I hit him as hard as I could, 10, 12 times. Couldn't knock him out.
These two, man.
He's been watching too many movies, trying to like pistol whip somebody to knock him out.
These two crack me up, dude.
Jesus.
Now what I did was, I put the car in auto drive, and I used it for
First
cover.
off, that accent should be illegal. That's the most atrocious, terrible, just assault on human dignity.
They were throwing bombs at the car.
They was throwing bombs at the car.
Then I ran and I jump kicked off a tree and did a flip. Fucking goobers, dude.
Yeah. Jesus.
That was the most excitement that guy had ever had in his life.
Oh, that's the story that he'll be telling until he dies. It's the one exciting thing that his kids will ever talk about that his dad did. You know, he was just the most vanilla guy his entire life, but he for one night he was a Winter Soldier, and that's how we're going to remember him.
So Tamerlan, the older, was apprehended, but later died at the hospital. He was so fucked up. The younger brother, Jahar Tsarnaev, fled the scene and evaded the police somehow. He was in a separate vehicle. I guess he got in his vehicle and they weren't able to follow him for some reason. They issued shelter-in-place orders, and then they started going door to door with the SWAT team. 12 hours later, there was an old guy who spotted blood on his boat, and he called the police. According to Boston Police Commissioner and the police chief, Jahar was in a gun battle with police for over an hour after they responded to the scene. So the police chief and the police commissioner both claimed that Jahar was firing at them and they were firing back for the next hour. He was 20 years old at the time, the younger brother, Jahar. He's the one in the boat here.
Their own hundreds of agents and police responded to the scene, guns drawn.
And that's when the shot rang out.
They're all like super worked up high school kids the first time they get a chick naked in front of them. Like they just can't control themselves. They just start spewing everywhere, just unloading bullets, just, oh my God, I can't control myself. It's finally going to happen. I'm going to get to do something important, do something I can talk about with other people. And who cares if there's a baby nearby? Just start. yeah, freaking unload.
The funny thing to me is like they tried to make the officers sound so heroic. It's just a stroke of luck that they didn't murder some child in like a neighbor's house.
Isn't it always though? It really isn't it always just a stroke of luck that they didn't kill somebody
or another cop or
yeah,
blow up a fucking gas tank somewhere or some shit. Jahar never had a gun. He was in the boat. They were just randomly shooting and they just started fucking firing. One of the cops just started popping off. Then they all started firing.
My goodness. Yeah. How did that come about that they thought he was in there armed, or was it just like a story, an interesting story to tell?
Bloodlust.
Bloodlust. Yeah, I get that.
Berserker blood, and when they get a little bit of rage, they pop off. That's why they beat up their wives and shit too. Probably can't control their emotions.
Why they beat up their wives.
They can't control themselves. They're violent fucking killers. They're elite special forces.
To be fair, would you be able to stand the type of woman that would be attracted to a cop? She probably needs to get a good smacking around every once in a while.
Yeah, she knows what she's in for.
She knows what she's in for. You know what you're doing, lady.
Jahar was taken to the hospital after this standoff. He had gunshot wounds to his legs, his hand, his neck, and he had one through his face.
Only later did police learn that the man in the boat did not have a gun.
Who fired that first shot?
We still don't know. I can honestly say none of the Boston guys ever fired. I had good control over my guys at the scene.
Evans and his officers surrounded the boat as a robot was set in to rip the canvas tarp off the top.
If they're able to successfully rip that off, he'll be fully exposed, okay?
We threw flashbangs into the boat, smoke grenades, and then eventually
he's just laying there, start throwing grenades in there.
Job well done.
Job well done, guys.
All the bootlickers out there, hey, cops. You shot up our whole neighborhood for no reason, but...
Sorry about your homes, folks.
Like Team America, where they just destroyed Paris, and it's like, no need to thank us. We got the terrorists.
He is currently on death row in a federal prison in Florence, Colorado.
Hanging out with your boy, Kazcynski, out there in Supermax.
So there's this conspiracy around this case that was also pretty interesting to me. Tell me what you think about this. We'll go through this a little bit, and let's see what your first reaction to it is. So the conspiracy goes, Tamerlan and Jahar Tsarnaev were FBI informants. According to his defense attorney, Jahar's defense attorney in the trial, him and his brother were recruited in 2011 by the FBI as informants. In 2011, there was a triple homicide in Waltham, Massachusetts. 3 men in an apartment had their throats slit from ear to ear, cut all the way down to the spine, almost decapitated the 3 men on September 11th in 2011. Jesus. This was 2 years before the Boston bombing. One of the men was a close friend of Tamerlan Tsarnaev. What they had done after they killed the men, they piled 7 pounds of weed and $5,000 cash from the apartment on the dead bodies before they fled the scene. Some actual...
Hang on. So these people got killed, nearly decapitated, and then people placed cash and marijuana on top of them?
It was their marijuana. I guess they were slinging.
So they had some pot at their house. The person goes there, nearly decapitates them, finds the pot and some cash, and then sets it in close proximity to the bodies before leaving.
No, puts it on the bodies. Piles it on the bodies.
Puts it on physically on top of the body.
Correct.
Huh. That is incredibly odd. That's definitely somebody with an ideology that's doing that. You know, they're trying to make a statement and be poetic about it. You know, this is why the sins of this person will put on full display. And,
what was that movie? Seven? Was that it?
Your sin is making people have the munchies and having a little bit of cash.
So after the Boston bombing, some journalists started investigating the Tsarnaev brothers. And they realized that Tamerlan Tsarnaev was a really good potential assailant in this 2011 triple murder. And in fact, there was tons of evidence linking him to the crime. And what was his friend, actually his best friend at the time, who was murdered, and his friends, the ones that got the weed put on them. There was evidence, there was cell phone data linking them to the area. Well, not linking them, linking Tamerlan specifically to the area. There were never charges brought against Tamerlan Tsarnaev, although he was in contact with the FBI at this time in 2011, multiple times according to relatives. The only thing the FBI ever admitted to, however, was that they had investigated Tamerlan at least twice in 2011. And supposedly, according to authorities, the Russians had informed the United States that he was a potential jihadist or potential terrorist, or he was a person of interest, basically. According to them.
Yeah.
So they were investigating that, and he was on some sort of list. They were given political asylum. The family was given political asylum in 2002 after their father was arrested and beaten for being a Chechen during the Russian-Chechnya War. The family was given asylum and moved to Massachusetts at that point. So that's one aspect of it, is the murder. The conspiracy theory is that the FBI knew that he did this murder, but they wanted to keep him as a valuable informant, so they didn't charge him with the crime. Apparently, it was pretty easy. There was like multiple journalists that found out right away that Tamerlan probably did this triple murder.
Yeah. Maybe. I mean, I could see, them looking the other way for obviously like a lot of lesser crimes. That seems a bit excessive, but who am I to underestimate the complete incompetence of police and not even incompetence, like.
Well, for one, trolley problem, Tony. They were saving lives. Really.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
For two, they were selling pot, so they deserved it.
Okay, yeah, it's starting to fit now. everything's coming together.
And there's
does seem awfully suspicious.
There's another interesting tidbit here. In 2013, shortly after the Boston bombing, the FBI, as part of this investigation, interrogated a Chechen-born man named Ibrahim Todashev at his home in Florida for 8 hours. According to the FBI, he confessed to doing the Waltham murders, the triple murder we just talked about, with Tamerlan Tsarnaev. And then he attacked the FBI agents, which is why they had to shoot and kill him. This is a quote from Al Jazeera here. A violent confrontation was initiated by the individual, the FBI said, without providing further details. At this time, James Comey was FBI director. This Chechen, Ibrahim Todashev, at his home in Florida. This was in a nice neighborhood. They interrogated him for 8 hours, no lawyer present, and then he suddenly attacks the officers. He's unarmed, I should say. And I believe there was 3 agents. There was 1 agent and then 2 state police present. Supposedly he attacked the FBI agent and they had to kill him. He was unarmed.
Yeah.
There's 3 of them at his home during an interrogation. It seems very, very strange.
It does seem very odd. Like,
and then they claim that he confessed to these murders involving Tamerlan as well. Unfortunately, he's dead, so he can't ever.
And they don't have any. They don't have any recordings of it. It seems highly unlikely. What I was kind of thinking was like, okay, maybe they go there and he gives some information that would look very bad on the agency, and then they kind of have to take him out. Maybe the officers going there didn't initially know what he was saying, and he gives information about, there's these other FBI agents that we'd been working with. They were well aware of X, Y, and Z. They knew that both of us were out committing these crimes, but they would just kept allowing it. And they call into Langley, Lieutenant, this is we got this guy down here saying all this kind of crazy stuff. We'll just eliminate the asset. Okay, yeah. So the guy attacks us. We kill him and
End of story.
lose the recordings. End of story.
If an individual is an FBI informant, then the FBI doesn't have to unseal those. They don't have to provide any records pertaining to that individual. They can for history. There's no 20-year limit. There's nothing. If they have information about, for example, Tamerlan being an informant, we'll never know.
Yeah.
Unless the Proud Boys go in there and open the vault or whatever.
Get at it, boys.
There's something uniquely American about electing a person to head the country who we wouldn't let operate heavy machinery. Yeah, this is from a speech at a Virginia military base.
Survivors will call Virginia home. I'm especially honored to share the stage with Brittany and Jordan and Nathan and Margaret Catherine. I love those barrettes in her hair, man. I tell you what, and look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her like a little lady with her legs crossed. Brittany, you're doing triple duty as a
little creepy, man.
It's creepy because of how relatable it is. We've all had to explain that she looked like she was 19. Nobody ever listens, though. Nobody ever listens, especially the courts. What can you do?
The way he says, like, God. What does he say? He doesn't say God damn it, but he says something to that effect.
Yeah.
The way she's just sitting there. God damn it.
He's turned sideways. You see the profile, and he's got the waddle that comes down like this, and he's just smiling. Look at her. She just looks like she's 19, sitting over there like a little lady.
Joe Biden wouldn't let Hillary go as they met on the tarmac.
Like you completely. Okay, Joe. Okay.
Hug, they semi-dis.
He thinks they're in middle school and they're at the school dance.
Wrong.
Just holding her by the waist.
Wouldn't unhand Hillary for almost.
She's tapping out. Look, I keep delaying the good stuff, but here's.
We're waiting for relief. I got them $1.9 trillion relief so far. They're going to be getting checks in the mail that are consequential this week for childcare. A lot has been happened already. And these are really tough.
One of his media people were in the back of the room going, you got to stand up, Joe. You got to stand up. Stop doing that. And he just.
The environment. Don't dismiss it at all. Just remind him, I wrote the bill.
I wrote the bill.
On the environment. Why would I not be for it? The question is, how much can... Asking me, well, you know, guess what? Employers can't find workers. I said, yeah, pay them more. This is employees bargaining.
This is the greatest speech an American president has ever given. One more and we'll move on here. I'm having too much fun with this.
We just have this big meme review episode.
These aren't memes. This is real life. This is the real president, man.
You know, there's one part of me that likes like the realness when somebody, they're not giving the political speech, you know, they're connecting with individuals on a real level. And then there's other parts where it's like, man, you're just not doing it right. Just do the presidential thing. Just go out there like a politician, give your canned speech and then walk away. Don't try to connect and relate with us on a personal level because you just creeps us all out.
It does when you do it like that. Now listen, Vladimir Putin, I've got the button.
I've got the football, Jack.
What's a more dangerous job than being a cop? Auditing the cops.
And I have gotten hooked. This is my new favorite thing.
God,
it could be like Oprah's new favorite thing. Yeah, these guys are
dorks. Have
a very libertarian bent. It could be pretty cringy to watch. Well, we'll go ahead and just play the first clip if you would.
How's it going, sir? Hey, how you doing, officers?
Good.
That's
can I
good,
get your
yeah.
names and badge numbers?
Sure, can I have your ID, please?
No, you can't.
Excuse me.
Have you not heard that before?
I've heard it plenty of times. It's just I'm surprised because, well, my name and my badge number is right here.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you see it?
Tibbets?
Yep,
I keep,
640.
the pen is blocking the number.
Digging the American, what does they call it? Like a baklava?
Here is a First Amendment protected activity.
Like the dust protector mask?
But listen, if you violate that in any way and interfere with that,
I'm not violating it. They asked you to leave.
Yeah, but they can't ask me to leave. This is a public library. Can I speak to a supervisor, please?
After immediately showing their disdain for the public and our
all right, that's good.
Long Island.
These guys.
Yeah. They're the best.
I feel bad for the cops. I don't like to feel bad for cops.
These men are American heroes. They push the cops, and it's supposed to be an educational thing for everybody, for the police, for the people that watch these videos, so that you understand what your rights are, and so you could teach the cops what they are.
So I'm assuming that these auditors are credentialed in some way. They have specific training. They know the laws well, I presume.
That is a thing that could be said. That's a thing that they would say about themselves, yes.
I know. He's a fucking one. I'm telling you right now, fucking 5 years ago with this shit, he would have been on the fucking ground. Absolutely. 10, 15, 20 years ago, that motherfucker would be dead. He'd be fucking his teeth if he missed.
Officer Utter may have just
all right, that's good.
Testified against him.
How'd they? What happened here?
The point of an audit, you go out, you would start filming in a public place, for example. This guy, he was filming in a public library, which is a public place, and you do not have an expectation of privacy in public, so it is legal to film. Any public buildings are owned by everybody, so if you're allowed to be there, that means you're allowed to film there, and that's what this guy was doing. He had this police encounter. Oftentimes, you'll end up in these police encounters where the police will violate your rights to some degree or another, and then the person doing the auditing will end up requesting body cam footage, will end up requesting all the information having to do with the encounter. So that's what this guy got in this particular one. He ended up requesting the body cam footage from some of the police officers that illegally and forcibly made him leave the library. I think it's great to have stuff like this out there for the public, for people to hear about it, because this is how they talk about us, when they're speaking to one another. And as cringy as it is to go into a library and just obnoxiously film, like, it is your right. And these guys are not necessarily, I don't think they're necessarily worried about the right to film in a library, but they're just trying to exercise the rights so that they don't lose them. It's important for people, including police, to know this is something we can do and you can't stop me from doing it.
You're wrong. I can videotape him and I can videotape you.
No, he's a civilian.
What does that mean?
He's a private human being.
So what does that mean?
What do you mean, what does that mean? Have a good day. Carry on.
Why don't you have a good day? There is no.
I just love watching these.
I can't watch it, dude.
I could do this I do this. This is like past few weeks while I'm working. I'll just have this playing in my earbuds all day long.
It's so cringe, man.
Oh, it's so good. Okay, you want to go to the 2A?
How to audit.
Now that you're done, can you look at it and see if he gave us his name, man? I don't think he gave us his name. Look, man, I don't know why you're being difficult, man. If you just cooperated, we'll be out of your hair in about 2 minutes. You know what I mean? That's all it takes. Just a little cooperation. We're just, no, man, look, I get you think it's funny. We're just doing our jobs.
I actually find it quite hilarious.
Okay. So, that's your right, man. I'm just trying to do my job.
You're right.
Okay.
Have a good day.
I'm having a great day.
Okay. Well, enjoy the rest of it. Okay. If you want to film, you can back up and film, but if you don't need anything from me, I don't need anything from you. So I'm asking you just to step back. That's all I'm asking.
Okay, man, can I just ask you, can you just go ahead and take off?
No, I'm going to sit right here.
Okay, then I'm going to sit right here.
I'm allowed to sit right here.
I'm allowed to sit here, too.
You're right, you are.
Leave that man alone. What the fuck is his problem?
All right, that's good.
Sitting there trying to watch videos, man.
Trying to watch his porn in front of a elementary school like any other God-fearing American. This guy harassing him. Next, we come to what is called reasonable articulable suspicion. So at a certain point in the altercation, you're going to want to leave. You're going to want the cop to leave, and they're going to tell you, no, you need to ask, am I being detained? Being detained is a legal state that you're in that is where you are not free, but you are not under arrest. So it's a temporary hold placed on you by the state, temporary restriction on your freedom of movement, after there has been a reasonable, articulable suspicion of a crime for the officer to investigate you. So if you feel the encounter is going somewhere you don't like, that's when you need to ask if you can leave. Then you're being detained.
So why should you not give him your ID? The only explanation I could think of is if you have like a outstanding warrant, you wouldn't want to identify yourself.
Yes, I mean, I guess in
for practical
normal
purposes.
circumstance, for practical purposes, well, I don't know. I mean, if you don't trust the police in general, if you think that they could be trying to cause problems for you, if they could be trying to look for some reason to hold you. I mean, you don't know, I'll use myself as an example here, you don't know how screwed up their records are. You may have had something in the past that was taken care of and they just haven't updated their records. And, you giving them your name and your information pulls up their faulty records, which could end up potentially getting you in trouble. The reason that the auditors do this is just to make that point, that this is not required information of you. And if you do detain me, if you do arrest me, based on me exercising my constitutional right to not have my property, my information, my effects seized, will end up taking you to court for a civil rights case at that point.
The other thing I'm not clear on is detainment. Assuming that that's basically the same as being under arrest. They're able to start rifling through your pockets and shit.
Yeah, so detainment happens after there's reasonable suspicion, but before probable cause. Probable cause is what they need for arrest. Reasonable articulable suspicion is what they need for detainment.
That probably falls under the same sort of like time limit scenario.
That's what it is. A detainment has to be brief and cursory, but it is something where if they have suspicion of a crime, and then that's when your Miranda rights would start to kick in, and that's when you would need to start exercising them, because you always need to exercise certainly your right to remain silent around police, because they're not there to help you. They're there to try to arrest you.
Got to get the bad guy, Tony. We learned that Republican voters are just a few hours worth of reading away from being the thing they hate. Luckily for Mitch McConnell, that's never going to happen.
Karl Marx, no one knew who he was until the big banks distributed all of his literature. Right. Yeah. So in order to get rid of communism, we need to get rid of the big banks. Yeah. Get rid of big pharma. Right. What else? Big tech. Right.
And it's like
these landlords that are coming in and buying hundreds of properties. You don't even know what corporation.
Right. China is doing it, and Bill Gates,
Zillow.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people here are very fed up, and they're ready to collectivize and sort of seize the means of production.
Right.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant, dude.
Gotta appreciate a good troll.
It's funny. I work for actually not this shirt, the other shirt I had on earlier, for a company not too far from here called Liberty Pump, non-union. They let the owners of the company sold a third of the company to the employees. So the employees have ownership of it, which is a lot better.
Oh, yeah. And they're collectivized, right? Cooperative.
It's an ESOP. You know what's funny about this?
What's that?
You know who Darren Brown, the magician, is? So he does this sort of shit where he tricks people like this. His whole strategy is to do this to like 100,000 people and use the one that he wants to use to make his show, to make his point, to do his magic or whatever. So that's how he does most of his tricks. But I feel like that's not what happened here. Like, this is just the first guy he came across. This would work on any fucking MAGA chode. Any of them.
This is my experience to a T when it comes to talking, especially like the real, I guess like the dyed in the wool, the real hard right-wingers that I speak with. If you talk to them about issues and don't use any of the buzzwords that scare them, like they'll generally agree with you about a lot of, I guess, left-wing. Like, I have talked to hardcore MAGA people like my brother-in-law who just absolutely thinks Donald Trump's the bee's knees. Yeah, if you're careful in the language you use, you're very specific about just the issues and not talking about characters or culture war issues. Like, he's basically a Bernie bro. He just doesn't know it.
Our first in-person show featured a recurring guest and his dog begging for money. This is a campaign that was tweeted out last week by our boy John Mattingly in support of former LMPD detective Brett Hankinson.
Oh, yeah.
It says here on the Gifts and Go account, on March 13th, 2020, Brett Hankinson answered the call for help when a team of his fellow investigators needed help serving several simultaneous search warrants to take down a dangerous and violent drug syndicate. Brett volunteered without hesitation. The events that followed would forever alter countless lives and lead to the tragic death of Breonna Taylor. His valiant efforts to protect and defend his friends and colleagues that night have not led to awards and commendations, but to the total annihilation of his personal and professional lives, to the death threats, to the family of to the safety of his family, to the loss of his beloved canine partner, Franklin, and to his arrest and prosecution. To be clear, he is the officer that fired blindly through the front windows in a crossfire scenario where he could have shot his fellow officers. Because he's firing blindly through the windows. That's why he was charged with wanton endangerment or whatever he was charged with. Found innocent by a jury of Kentucky people. No offense. And now he wants money. His dog wasn't put down, right? He's just not with him anymore.
So that was my understanding initially. Like something happened to the dog.
Yeah. He's just not a kid.
He just lost his job, so he doesn't get to play with his pet anymore.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
The city has the dog.
The wording is just horrible.
They try to make you feel sorry, but
like look at him with his
to the loss of his beloved canine. That's the exact words.
Meanwhile, he's got a belt made out of the ears of murdered dogs.
Yeah. So I don't feel sorry for him.
Not in the least bit.
I don't plan on donating, and I am very happy that it looks like he's not anywhere close to his goal. I want to read some of the.
May God put his angels in charge of you, and I pray God changes these evildoers' minds. In Jesus' name, amen.
Evildoers.
Yep.
It's holding people accountable for their actions, even when they are in a position of power.
Oh, and it's in all caps, too.
Who's the evildoers in this scenario? Black people?
I think so. I want to read the GoFundMe, the Give, Send, Go me that he does to fight back against all the sexual assault charges that are against him.
That's what the money's being used for.
While bravely serving my community against these evildoers, I answered the call.
I took a few hours off of raping women.
Yeah.
To shoot some black women. If only Christopher Hitchens were alive to see this.
They told me you have to go to Glendale and they're gonna cast your hand primarily and permanent. But when I get here, after 15 days, they gave me an appointment and my bone just like dislocated at that 15 days. And now the doctor said that we cannot do anything here because this bone here in this area, we cannot do surgery.
Did they tell you why they can't do surgery?
No.
Okay. I curse this infirmity.
Shift again, shift again, shift again. Shift again. Did you feel that?
Yeah, they're correct. I can feel
Shift, shift again, shift. Shift, look at it becoming small. Shift, shift again, shift again, shift again. Shift again. Shift again. Look, it's about to disappear. Shift again. Shift again. Shift again. Shift again. Shift again. Listen to my voice now. Look.
Okay, try moving it now. Try moving this arm now. That move it. Move the.
Oh my God! I can't believe this. Praise God! I was able to do it. Shout Jesus! Jesus! Oh my God!
Somebody shout power!
So you said you saw something there, huh?
Yeah, I saw her moving her hand.
You didn't see the bump go down?
No, the bump didn't go down, but this right here, like this bone flat. She was just flexing her hand.
Oh, I thought Lovey got you. I thought he really convinced you that the bone was going down.
I think she was just wrong about where the injury was. You know, she thought that it was.
You think you know more about her injury than she does?
I think I trust God. I think I think if that's what he's a doctor in this one, Dr. Lovey.
I don't know what he's a doctor of. I don't think it's science. He's pretty cool though, right? I love this guy.
Yeah,
he's awesome.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
He talks people into grifting themselves.
I've seen a lot of James Randi videos, and this is one of the least impressive that I've seen.
You haven't seen it all.
Okay.
You know how I operate. The good stuff's at the end.
Oh, okay. Well, you haven't got me there yet, but I feel the vibe, certainly. Yeah. He's got the showmanship down.
For sure, dude.
He's got the look down. He's got the voice down. He's got the background music, the changes in tone. We were going from the soft piano into the little bluesy guitar lick.
Yeah, build up, and the payoff. Her bone heals itself right on fucking camera. And then she can do this now, where I guess she couldn't do this before. He's like, you don't have to turn your wrist to do this, do you?
No, not at all. It stayed perfectly straight, and she just brings it up at this angle.
Yeah.
Okay, seems pretty miraculous to me.
I mean, she's convinced. After all these years, after all the doctors you've been to, finally figured out a cure for your crooked pinky. And you see, you need Dr. Lovey Elias.
I wonder if he could fix that. All of a sudden, it just goes...
Shift again. All right, here's the true power. Here's his true form. This is what he's all about. This is his, he has a name for these. Prophetic sermon, I believe is what he calls them. He doesn't do them all the time, but they're lit as fuck.
Well, you can't be just doing these all the time.
Lit AF.
Yeah,
no.
This is like the pinnacle. Yeah, you can't.
It's like the ring of power, right? You can't.
You don't use it all the time.
No.
Yeah, in dire.
I mean, you might use Nenya, or was it the other? There's Nenya, there's Quinarin.
Is this from the Silmarillion?
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, you remember stuff out of that book.
I flex on it too. I'm flexing on these hoes.
You evil spirit. You evil spirit. I command you out of these people. Come here. Wherever you're hiding. These souls belong to Jesus. I command you wherever you're hiding. Wherever you are. Where there is chronic disease. Where there is mental disorders. Where are you, you evil spirits? Where you are fed demonic things. Where you are fed demonic things. Where you are fed sorcery. Where you are fed witchcraft. Where you are initiated. I arrest those spirits now. In the mighty name of Jesus. May the angels of God begin to arrest them. Begin to arrest them. Begin to tie them. In the name of the Lord Jesus. Whether they be dragons, whether they be spiritual wives, spiritual husbands, spirit of death, in the Jesus. In the name of Jesus. Let go of that mother. Let go of that child. Let go of that man. Let go of that woman. Let go of that family. Let go of that baby. Let go of the people of God. Wherever they are lingering, that spirit of diabetes, that spirit behind arthritis, that spirit behind tumors, that spirit behind cancers, that spirit behind misfortunes, I am speaking to you. Suicidal spirit, spirits that want you to die, spirit of self-harm, spirit of cutting yourself, spirits that want you to die. Ekada kida akuba kaya, dalika hazufa, mekada gadaga, eliama sutala baredia. Light be. Begin to command, if there be anything in you, that it would depart from you. Lift up your voice and begin to pray.
Anything within me, Father.
Okay, so this woman right here, this is a salvia trip. When I went real hard on salvia one time, this is exactly what I looked like. I was down doing this, I was barking. So yeah, salvia is Devanorum. It's the divine sage. It's the witching sage, and they have used it since time immemorial in different religious practices. Sure. And I think this guy may just be reviving an old practice, and he hijacked the HVAC system for this building, and he is just pumping Salvia Devanorum fumes into the crowd. And he has probably built up an incredible tolerance over the years from constant drug abuse in his native land of Kenya, where he grew up with Obama when Obama was a kid. And so here he is today, using this to fool the lowly and marginalized and the
marginalized California Valley.
Yeah, those same people, yeah.
Who have time to show up at a certain like this.
Dressed really nice, actually.
Are you doubting the power of God, Tony?
I know that seems really out of character for me, but there's something about this guy that just doesn't smell right to me.
What about these people? They're obviously convinced that something's going on here. They have demons that he is exorcising. He's exorcising thousands of demons right now.
Yeah, maybe.
People do have demons. We all have demons, right?
Yeah. Not, I don't think in the literal sense, maybe in the metaphorical sense. And we also all have, we can have psychosomatic issues, and
and they certainly can be exploited.
I think that there's a little bit of a need for attention too. So it seems very incredible.
Ouch, Tony.
I appreciate and I recognize his masterful control over the people around him, and his use of setting, which is also very important in the psychedelic context. His crowd manipulation skills are on point. The whole appearance, the vibe, the feel of it all, it's masterful, really.
Pretty sick, dude. He's a fucking baller, dude.
I don't know if that antenna is catching anything.
9 out of 10 of these women are hot, dude. Look at this shit. It's great.
Yeah, I know it. Well, he's not going to put the ugly ones on camera. They'll stay in the back.
Oh, they don't bring them up. They leave them in the back. Put them in the overflow. All right, one more. I was introduced to Dr. Elias Lovey here by TikTok, of course, everyone's favorite social media platform.
I will finish her. No, you will not. Silence. Now I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to answer me clearly. How long have you been inside of her?
2 years.
Clearly.
I said 2 years.
Listen, clearly, respectfully. How long?
2 years.
This became your daughter.
It already is. This is exactly how she acts. This is why I put her up in the loft.
Yeah.
You didn't get up there. You didn't see.
Get up in the loft.
You didn't see the chains.
Quit talking like a demon.
I told you, quit demon talking, child.
If this was my daughter, I would record this, drop her off at the fucking psych ward, and show him this fucking video. Get out of my house, crazy bitch. What the fuck, dude?
What the fuck?
Can't have you walking around. Something like that.
You're trying to get attention, and this is not the way to go about it.
No,
this is
not the attention you want.
Yeah, this is
the type of people the men who are going to be attracted to this type of behavior.
are not the people that you want to be around you. Yeah, shame on her parents for taking her somewhere like this.
She'll die.
No, she won't. You made a big mistake coming here.
Big mistake.
Now, how many of you are inside of her? How many?
6. Yes.
You said you are 6 of you. How many of you?
I said 6.
Can you tell me the names of the 6 that are inside?
Anger, stress, death.
Who are the other 3?
Sadness. Depressed.
Who is the last one? Who is the last one?
I should have said 4.
You really put me on the spot here. Coming up with all these things.
They're finally speaking to us in a language we understand. Vending machines. This is a good idea. I'm surprised they haven't had these already.
Yeah, so this is Kentucky's first Narcan vending machine, also for the kids. This happened right down the road from where I live at. They put up a Narcan vending machine, which
In
is
Vine Grove.
Vine Grove. It's, I guess, right on the Hardin County side. I believe you can just go up there and get you, I think, a double dose of Narcan. And
yikes.
the box also comes with information about treatment and all that stuff like it. Yeah, that was my first thought, too. I was like, there's no way in hell I'd go up to that vending machine. It'd scare the shit out of me. They're watching.
You stick your hand in the machine and just handcuffs go on it.
What they're saying is very sensible. There's some quotes from the local police chief and the Hardin County prosecutor saying, like, we're not going to arrest our way out of this situation. But anyways, a little bit of positive news. Get the thumbs up on that. Prioritizing safety for the drug users and treating them like people instead of scum that need to be locked up and beaten and have their dogs shot.
I'm pro-cop now. That really changed me. Thanks, Tony. I could think of worse things to do with a dead body. So this gentleman was just recently arrested, October 5th. So this was about roughly a week and a half ago. He is 45 years of age. He has struggled his entire life to live up to his mother's expectations due to his substance abuse issues. And he enjoys spending time with his family out on the back porch of their country estate. Is this gentleman a pedophile? The photo. That's pretty big.
No, I don't think he is. This looks like any. I mean, you go out to the western part of Meade County, go out to Battletown. He'd fit right in anywhere around here, really.
Battletown.
Yeah, I'm sure some spots around here. He looks like a well-respected gentleman. He probably works at a factory somewhere. Makes $25 an hour.
Yeah.
He's got 3 kids by 2 different moms. He mostly pays his child support. And he likes a little methamphetamine on the weekend. Certainly likes a bit of weed. Aged him a little bit. He looks like he's probably in his early mid-50s, but 45.
He looks like 70% on the way to Crypt Keeper.
Unkempt. Probably use a haircut. Hair's a little greasy. They must have caught him on day 2 of a meth binge. I'm just going to say this is just a public masturbation charge.
Public masturbation.
Yeah, maybe there were some kids nearby, and they're trying to give him a bad rap.
Should that be a crime? I mean...
No, the kids should have fucking left. Quit watching me.
Yeah.
Kids. The mother's expectation was that he just, same shit all moms want. Get married. Go get a better job. Fuck you, Mom. It's hard out here. And the country estate, it's a trailer. And
if I want a huff duster, leave me the fuck alone.
Exactly.
Let me huff.
Jesus, this is my life, Mom. Leave me alone. And, he hangs out on the back porch where he huffs his duster, smokes his meth at the trailer park in Battletown, Kentucky.
Pretty close, man. So you said no. He is not, in fact, a pedophile. He was not arrested on those charges, although, who knows? We never know what's inside the mind of gentlemen such as this. His name is Carmen Martin. I'm going to read the article detailing the details of this man's arrest. Okay, here's the photo of the 3 of them arrested on this charge.
Dear Lord.
Brandenburg, Kentucky.
Oh, no shit.
3 people have been arrested after the body of a woman who overdosed inside a home was found next to the trash. Roy D. Beam, 78, Carmen Matthew Martin, 45, who we just saw a photo of, and Stacy Carpenter, 31, all of Brandenburg, being held in Meade County detention. is charged with abuse of a corpse, possession of a controlled substance, and possession of paraphernalia. Arrest reports state that on October 2nd, the victim, Linda Byerly, overdosed inside Beam's home in the 1000 block of Johnny Pack Road after using fentanyl. The trio tried to resuscitate Byerly, but decided that she had died. Authorities say once it was decided Byerly was beyond help, they took her body from the house, placed it in a chair on the back porch next to piles of trash. They are being held on $5,000 cash bond on charges of abusing a body, essentially. So the mother died of fentanyl overdose, and they put her body by the trash on the back porch on the rocker.
I guess there is a reason that guy looked familiar. It may be the color scheme of the jail in the background.
Maybe that's it. You recognize the jail.
I'm like, that color gray.
What about the vending machine, man?
It was empty. And they want you to put in your social security number.
Maybe get the Narcan first and then...
Definitely. Yeah, you can't go get the Narcan as you're overdosing.
My question is, what do they think was going to happen?
I don't know. I mean, did they just like set her out there? Did they try to conceal her? Get like a really big trash bag? Or
what happened to her?
Somebody, I don't know who, put this woman in the trash. You know, probably not the place that she lives with all the people fucking zonked out from...
This is a great story. I love this story. Dude.
Yeah, I don't know how they expected this to go.
What were they thinking, man? Who's masterminding this fucking outfit?
Look,
question, maybe they just put her out there like 5 minutes ago. I mean, how long does a body sit there before it's a crime?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder what the limit is. Like, if I find a dead body at my house, if I wait 3 minutes, that's fine. That's
totally reasonable. Yeah, no.
If I wait 30 minutes, that's probably okay. If I'm freaking out, I don't know what to do. At what point, if I waited 3 days, now that's abuse of a corpse. How much semen do they have to find in the corpse before I get charged?
Why can't you just have a corpse? What's the problem?
Who's the victim here, really?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man.
Point to the aggrieved party.
I think they're the victims in this. This is overreach of the big government, man.
Yeah, Jesus. Like, they're not bothering anybody. They're hanging out there snorting fake Roxys and just trying to get a good nap.
Once in a generation, a truly pivotal figure rises to lead a movement.
I heard the revolution had started, so I got my hammer, got my hat, ready to go, son. Let's do this.
You need a sickle for the other hand.
Yeah, I'm officially changed my political orientation. That's why I went and voted today as an anarcho-papist. They hadn't heard of that particular political party yet, but they will, buddy. You definitely will.
If there's one person who is going to instigate radical change in the country, like electoral politics is not working, obviously. Revolution's not going to happen anytime soon. Sorry, Che, the spirit of Che that lives in that hat.
The hat I bought from Amazon.
It's this guy who's going to save us. Look at this fucking guy. He definitely plays Magic the Gathering, first of all.
Oh, yeah. I think I've seen him a couple times. You know, he was hanging out with all the San Francisco hippies, and then they probably quit talking to him because he was fucking annoying. So he gets online and finds Reddit, finds r/Tim Pool, and then just goes down that rabbit hole. Okay.
Started reading Glenn Greenwald on Substack, and he got radicalized.
Jesus, could you imagine being radicalized by Substack?
I don't have too much to say about it. It's just, it's a funny situation. I feel bad for Nancy Pelosi's husband, I guess. He's rich as fuck, though, so I don't really feel that bad for him. That's what he gets.
I don't care at all. Yeah, fuck them. Fuck them
both. You get for
marrying
fucking Nancy Pelosi. Weren't they the ones making millions off of insider trading?
Yeah, she always does that crap. Some reporter asked her, like, you're able to trade on that privileged position that you have. You know, this is obviously, it's causing a lot of mistrust. Why don't you support legislation to bring back that faith of the American people and to put a stop to this type of crap because it looks so bad? And she started talking about free markets. Well, it's a free market and we can do what we want. It's just completely nonsensical.
All hail the free market. They talk about meritocracy on the one hand, but on the other hand, she wants her kids to be rich as fuck and not have earned it. That's what she wants because she's not going to do anything with that money. What the fuck is she going to do with it? Wallpaper the inside of her coffin with it? Nothing is more satisfying than a billionaire proving that his wealth is absolutely not a result of merit. First of all, social media companies aren't worth anything. Twitter wasn't even profitable. MySpace vanished. People are going to stop using Twitter. It doesn't matter. They're all the same. You can just make another one. It's just a fucking computer app. It's not a real product. It's just a fucking app, for one. For two, how can anybody who has watched Elon Musk interviews or see, I saw him on the Joe Rogan podcast when he went on Joe Rogan. He's a fucking idiot. You can't watch that interview and be like, oh, he's brilliant. Unless you're a dipshit. Might be smarter than you, but he's not brilliant at anything. He smashed the windows on his own Tesla at a fucking PR event.
Yeah, he tried to play off the autistic savant on the Rogan podcast, and I don't know. I mean, Rogan bought it, but I was feeling a little cringy the whole time I was watching it. This guy's putting on a little bit.
He didn't say anything. He just sat there.
You don't know what it's like, Joe. You don't know what it's like inside my mind.
Joe Rogan, how do you do so much stuff, Elon?
How do you do it all? I delegate. Yeah, but how do you do it? I delegate. I delegate, Joe.
I don't actually do anything. I'm very wealthy, in fact. I fly around a lot.
Anyways, to commemorate this, I was smoking a substance the other night, and I decided to write something. It's from my heart.
Okay.
So I want everybody to know that this is coming straight from me. This goes out to our boy Elon. In the heart of darkness, a young boy was born. With emeralds was his silver spoon adorned. No one could then see this bright shining nova, that special boy from Africa. Like so many boys from his time and place, he founded a startup in the year of Y2K. Through his prodigious mind and strength of will, he sold it for 300 mil. With humble nest egg, he did then seek another business to bring to its peak. His brilliant mind with which none could contend, he invented electric cars in hopes for climate change end. Earth's most brilliant mind, our Tony Stark. Nary could you hear the naysayers hark. All doubt was quashed, all dissent was gone. The world knew God's gift, whose name was Elon. To spread his message of progress far and wide, he traveled to the tempest eye. To the podcast king he warned against the woke, as he drew in his mighty toque. A terrible visage then revealed to Elon, of the woke nexus from which all our sanity gone. To hear a free speech made the woke mob all bitter. So to fight that foul scourge for us all, he bought Twitter. But lo, in this dark and fearful age, when the woke mob's ire had turned his way, they poured their hate from Twitter's chalice, and on poor Elon they focused their malice. With blue check marks now in reach for all, the trolls from their basements they did crawl. With a mere $8, their profiles then read, of the profiles of companies unearned cred. 'Twas only a fortnight before all hope was lost. The Twitter mob won and Elon paid the cost. It was not Thanos' snap nor wretched Antifa, it was hubris that smited the boy from Africa. Thank you.
Very nice. Very, very nice.
My daughter enjoyed it.
I hope he loses it all, man. I hope he loses everything. Then he'll have to go get a real job.
Yeah, like actually lose it all. That's what I want to see.
Every fucking penny, yeah. Like Alex Jones style.
Yeah, I just for once, I want to just see it happen. He loses all his contacts. He doesn't have all his rich friends to give him money. Nobody to invest in his new fucking bullshit startup. Just nothing. You're moving to a double wide in Breckenridge County.
Yep.
See how you make it from there.
Were we surprised to find out that people believe in a conspiracy that comes from a fictional movie? Not really.
However, there's one source from which I haven't had the pleasure of experiencing its bountiful mind-altering chemicals, and that is screaming children.
Do tell.
Please. As your attorney, I advise you to take a hit out of the little brown bottle in my shaving kit.
Adrenachrome?
What a classic.
Of course, the infamous adrenachrome scene. Adrenachrome, so the conspiracy goes, is a chemical produced in the brain, whether by the pineal gland or otherwise, as a fear response. This chemical can be harvested and used by another person to elicit an intense psychedelic high. The purported high produced by adrenachrome tends to be described as being similar to DMT. It's possible that users may be experiencing more than just a chemical-induced hallucination. Again, this is an actual belief among the QAnon community and has been echoed, at least on occasion, by the likes of Alex Jones. Again, in a kind of perverse mirror image to the DMT community, some people believe that adrenachrome, like DMT, actually puts you in touch with these entities. Whether they're malevolent aliens coercing the rich and powerful of Earth to unsettle our institutions, to bring about the downfall of mankind or something, or more popularly, that you're being put in touch with demonic entities that are trying to turn you away from Christ to get you to become a servant of Satan. All right, well, we're going to learn more about the chemical diagram. So this right here is a documentary. There was a QAnon, a scholar, I believe, is what his job title is. And he produced this documentary to show us, teach us a little bit about the chemical makeup. And this is very low quality. This is as good as it would get, though. So since the beginning of time, the human race thought it was at the top of the food chain. Now let me show you the truth.
Oh, God. Enter the stars?
In there because we need this.
This is Monsters, Inc.
Yes. All right, there's the adrenochrome molecule.
Our city is counting on you to collect those children's
They made
screams.
Monsters, Inc.
Without scream, we have no
put it out
power.
there for everybody to laugh. And look, it matches up perfectly with a soccer ball.
Oh, wow.
Now, hang on, James. You laugh now. Pay attention. Soccer ball under the little kid's bed.
Oh, gosh.
And there's these monsters that thrive on the screams of children. And these elites, this globalist cabal, was just brazen enough and so convinced that they could get away with this that they thought they'd make a children's movie about it so that they can normalize this to children. They can make the monsters more humanized so that when they come for their screams.
Interesting.
But that doesn't really make sense because they want them to scream, so you don't want them to be, I don't know, maybe hadn't thought it out completely yet.
Well, they do fill up the big jugs in Monsters, Inc. They fill up the big jugs with the screams. It's full of adrenochrome.
Yeah, that's what it really is.
Wow.
So anyways, this is like a 2-hour documentary where he goes through Monsters, Inc. and finds all these little hidden messages.
I could think of worse ways to spend a weekend, I guess. And additionally, I would like to say that as a drug nerd myself, I am extremely interested, now that you've told me that this is a real compound, I want to get my hands on some.
Well, I might have a link.
Sick.
We'll have to just wait and see.
I do have children.
All right. Well, that's always a source too, buddy. So of course, this entire claim being made also has some historical precedents. As with much of the crap coming out of the right wing in America today, we can find traces of these same claims being made by other right wingers from a different time in a different place.
They've done this before?
Oh, they have.
Blood libel, the outrageous and dangerous myth that Jews murder non-Jews to use their blood for religious rituals, has fueled anti-Semitism and violence for centuries. The Syrian delegate claimed the book The Matzah of Zion by the Syrian defense minister proved Jews engaged in ritual murder. Anti-Semitic propaganda still spreads claims of Jews drinking blood and eating children. Nazi propagandists spurred fear of Jewish plans for mass murder
Whoever made
and
that
blood
is
rituals.
genius.
Blood libel accusations also incited the 1903 pogrom in Russia and 1946 pogrom in Poland. The myth emerged in the 12th century when Jews were accused of killing Christian children as a perverse reenactment of Jesus' crucifixion. The myth later took on a blood motif, that Jews were killing for Christian blood.
Basically, Jews murdering non-Jews and using their blood for some sort of rituals.
Yeah, so I've got the Elders of Zion up here, and I just wanted to let everybody know.
Are you wearing a yarmulke, sir?
Jews are absolutely not doing this. It's important for people to know.
Ladies and gentlemen, Tony is wearing a yarmulke secretly this entire episode.
I'm definitely not. I'm not Jewish. I'm not working for Benjamin Netanyahu.
That's exactly what a Jew would say.
I am not on Ben Shapiro's payroll. Just want to be clear. And since you were asking, you can actually buy it. And it is very cheap, too. It's like just a couple dollars a gram. Adrenachrome, specifically, is most commonly used to treat bleeding disorders. So like blood in the urine, bleeding from the retina, nose, uterine bleeding, etc. I was unfortunately not able to find any evidence of its psychoactive effects. In fact, nobody has. It's been researched pretty extensively over the past like 80 years. And
I imagine by everybody who fucking read that book.
Yeah, I think the biggest research would probably be done by like high school kids. If there was like any semblance of truth to the matter, there would be so many kids ordering this shit from India and take it in school.
We would have heard of it surely back in the 90s.
Yes.
Hamilton Morris would have made a video on it by now.
Yeah. So unfortunately, I think Adrenachrome gets relegated to the Bananadine category.
God damn it.
It is bullshit. There's nothing to it, unfortunately. Just to be sure, though, because as you know, the Jews, the rich people run the media.
Yeah.
And they're the ones controlling the narrative. They're the ones controlling Wikipedia. But we're just going to watch this video, and then you tell me what you think. You tell me if this person is an adrenochrome addict.
Clintons are very evil. Supposedly, they torture these kids. It gets their adrenaline flowing in their body.
Look at that photo.
Then they take that out of their adrenal glands, and then they drink their blood or that out of their...
I've heard about things like that.
All right, so it's too cute.
Oh, gosh. Facebook has fucking ruined the world, man.
If somebody were to be harvesting children to drink adrenochrome, that certainly looks like the face of the elite that would be doing it.
Yes.
There's something going on with Hillary Clinton.
My kids are not getting anywhere near her. That's for sure. Looking like that.
No, of course not. Hillary Clinton or Trump, who would you rather? Your kids have to be babysit by one of them. Which one's it going to be?
Donald Trump. For sure, dude.
Yeah.
That'd be a blast. They'd probably have a really fun time.
I guarantee they would. They get to run around his golden mansion.
Yeah.
Hillary does have a response to it. I don't know. We'll see if you buy it or not.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I know that you're not alone. It's hurtful. I'll be really honest with you. It's hurtful, not just to me and my family, but to my friends and other people who know that this is not just false, but painfully false. So just as one American to another, I hope that we can start trying to find some common ground again and overcome all those forces trying to divide us and put us into little boxes apart from each other.
What do you mean us? Don't say us, Hillary. You're not one of us, you fucking psycho.
She looks like she just took a hit of adrenochrome.
Yeah, dude.
Her eyes are like wide open and bloodshot red. Her skin even looks smoother than it did in the last one. That's what it does. It also makes you youthful.
If there's one person I could see just murdering children willy-nilly, it's fucking Hillary, dude.
I mean, she does, technically, right? As Secretary of State. I mean, I'm sure she...
It's kind of her job.
Ordered the murder of a lot of... Yeah. She does it for business and pleasure.
We've spotted another daycare. Send in the drones. We'd like to thank you folks for all the support this year. It's been amazing, and we're so glad we got to spend it laughing along with you at all of the absurdities that the year had to offer. We're beginning a new project in 2023, so keep your eye and ear out for that. When and where it will be posted on all of our pages. Until then, happy holidays from Tony and James.
That's how they get you. They're under the goddamn ground.